Hey everybody out in internet land. I hope everybody's doing well and you're holding up under this quarantine, which we are, I guess everybody's starting to open back up. Let's hope that turns out okay, although it's kind of dodgy in a lot of states. But anyway, a while back I had put out a video where I showed you my method of creating an original Vocaloid song in the Vocaloid 5 editor. Well, this video is a follow-up to that, where I'm now going to take that Vocaloid file, which is Gumi singing. I'm going to bring it into my DAW, digital audio workstation. I use Studio One, and I'm going to finish out the song, flesh it out with the different parts. So, just to recap, I had created a backing track of just drums and the guitar part that I exported into Vocaloid, and using that backing track, I created a melody with Gumi. And just as a refresher, here is what that backing track sounded like. Okay, so it's a very simple chord progression. I basically arbitrarily decided I am going to create a song in a key of C major, and that simple chord progression is just C, A minor, G, F. So it's a 1-6-5-4 progression. Brought that out, exported that out to Vocaloid and did my melody. Now I created my melody and I re-imported that back into Studio One. In the meantime, I created a bass part, and you can listen to it here. And that was me just playing bass on my cheap Yamaha bass. I am not a bass player, and actually a lot of people would say that I'm not even a guitar player, but I'm definitely not a bass player. I treat the bass as a 4-string guitar, but it's enough for me to just get by, just to put down a track for any songs that I want to create. So that was the bass part. I also laid down a second guitar part. Now, before I do the second guitar part, I always think about what kind of song will this be. And it might take me a while. And I thought, well, you know what, I've been doing this trend of this a lot of reverb, kind of having, shoegaze elements or dream pop kind of stuff, reverb, chorus, that kind of thing. So I thought I would continue with that. And so this is the guitar part that I put down for the second guitar. So something like that. So, and that was, and actually you can see for that part, I just play it all the way through. So leaving in mistakes and all, and you can tell from my other guitar track that it's cut into pieces, because I basically just put out 4 measures and I just repeated it. Ideally, you want to play through the entire song with several takes, but when I'm just doing a quick demo, I just get down the part and just copy and paste. So the whole song sounds like this. Let me skip all the way to where Gumi starts singing. Okay, so you have all your parts, right? You have Gumi singing, you have the drums, and actually the drums need to be fixed later on, but we'll get back to that later. I have guitar part 1, guitar part 2, and the bass part. Just enough for a simple arrangement. Now that you've got all your parts, the first thing you want to do before you start doing anything is leveling and balancing and panning, all that kind of stuff, right? You want to make sure your levels are set correctly and the panning is set correctly to where you want it. That's the first thing you need to do. And if we look at this, we see that some things are louder than others. So what I want to do is actually the drums, I'm going to loop this so I can hear the volume here. Basically, I also like to bring down the volume levels on each track to about, I guess, minus 18 decibels, because you want enough headroom, right? Because the more tracks you have, it's all going to add up, and then you run the risk of clipping on the final at the mix bus. So I generally aim for about minus 18, averaging out on the different tracks. Actually, I need to hear Gumi singing. She needs to be in here too. So let's go here. I meant to loop. I should have looped this part. The second thing I do is I always pan the guitars. Hard left, hard right. You know, when you do that, because it opens up the middle and then you can really hear the vocals. So you don't have to, a lot of times, you know, you can't hear the vocals with everything cluttered in the middle, and it makes you want to push the volume up. But when you do it this way, it opens up that middle. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me, volume wise. I just want to also point out that I do have a plug-in here already. It's a vocal writer, and what this does is that it evens out the vocal volume. It makes it smoother and more consistent, and you can see it in action here. So it will raise the volume when it needs to, and if it's too loud, it will lower the volume. Now, it used to be, in the old days, people would ride the faders on the mixing board to control it, because the human vocals have a lot more range. For these Vocaloids, they don't vary as much as a real human, but it still wouldn't hurt to use this volume automation. If you don't have the Vocal Writer plugin, you know, you could do it by hand. Actually, you can open up your volume envelope and draw it in, because if you see, let me do this so you can see the actual waveform here. You can see there are spots where it's higher and spots that are lower. So what you would do is you would take this envelope and raise it for spots here, but you might cut it back down here, cut this off a little bit, raise this a little bit, raise this a little bit, cut this a little bit, things like that. But that can be tedious to do it by hand, but you know, people used to do it by hand. Now I just let the Vocal Writer plugin do its thing. Okay, so okay, so let's say that we have our balancing, the volume balancing, and our panning done. You know, for something like this, it's only 5 tracks. It won't take you that long, but do spend a little bit of time on it. So I've got the levels to where I like it. First thing I do is I start back. This is called backwards mixing, I guess. There's a lot of, or top-down mixing or something, I don't know. They call it different terms. But I start at the end and work my way backwards. So you want to make your changes at the end and then tweak them going down to the individual tracks, because hopefully the things that you do here will mean that you won't have to do too much here on the individual tracks. Let's hear that again.
I'm too scared to go outside and get away. There's a crowd of angry people. And there's some go-to plugins that I usually use, but with the exception of the Vocal Wave Writer, I'm going to just use the stock plugins, just so that you know that you don't need to buy expensive plugins, although it's fun to do that. And I rarely use the stock plugins anymore, but in this case I will use the stock plugins that comes with Studio One. So first thing I want to do, because I hear I always like to put a little bit of compression. You know, they always talk about compression as being a glue that just sort of glues everything together. So I'm going to put in this master bus compressor. Because you just want maybe 2 dBs compression. I really need to buy some groceries, but I don't want to when they're open. I've been stuck in my apartment all day. I'm too scared to go outside and get away. There's a crowd of angry.
And generally for the master bus compressor, you do have a slower attack and a slower release, because you don't want it hitting it too quickly on the final mix. Although you might want to have a fast attack on the individual tracks.
Groceries, but I don't want to when they're open.
And I'm lazy, so I'm going to leave this at auto for the gain. The other thing is, I think it could need some EQ to brighten it up. Here's a stock EQ right here, and again I'm just going to start off with the enhancement. See how it brightens that up? I don't want too much on the bass though.
So we'll lower that.
I'm too scared to go outside and get away. There's a crowd of angry people, and they all want to throw rocks at my head. I really need to buy some groceries, but I don't want to end up dead. I've been stuck in my apartment all day. I'm too scared to go outside and get away. There's a crowd of angry people, and they all want to throw rocks at.
Okay, that sounds good.
I've been stuck in my apartment all day.
You know, I always like to put in some let me put, actually I got my effects buses here, so I need some reverb. I said room reverb. There we go. And we'll go with that medium club. Now I say I like a flat plate. Go with the flat plate, and then I can send it, and I use it on the lead mix bus. You see, Gumi, I have the only thing I want is the Wave Rider plugin on her own bus. Then I send that to the lead vocal bus, and that's where I put my effects. Then send that to the vocal bus, which will combine if I had harmony and other vocal tracks on it. It all goes through this bus. But we will get some reverb going here.
I'm too scared to go outside and get away. There's a crowd of angry people, and they all want to throw rocks at my head. I really need to buy some groceries, but I don't want to end up dead. I've been stuck in my apartment all day.
I also need some delay on her voice. I gotta loop this so I can. What did I do? Where's my loop?
I've been stuck in my apartment all day. I've been stuck in my apartment all day. I've been stuck in my apartment all day. I've been stuck in my apartment.
Oh, by the way, you generally shouldn't mix by soloing a channel, because when it's in the mix, it sounds different. So you should always mix with all the tracks going at the same time. But sometimes it can be helpful to solo out a channel.
Apartment all day. I've been stuck in my 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 apartment all day.
The thing I like to do with both delay and reverb, you combine them together, because the delay actually brings the vocal forward, but the reverb gives it a space behind. So I like to combine them together. So you hear the difference, right? Yeah, I'm not going to put an EQ on that right now. I think the clarity is pretty good. We'll see what happens when I start adding other stuff on the other tracks. Okay. See that drum? The drums are very weak. I want to have a snap, which good thing to do is to use compression. So we'll put it on an effects track. So that way I could do a parallel compression. And I'll just go with the old drum set here. And then let's go and send that to the compressor. Already I can hear that snappy. Was that my imagination? Hold on. Because it's not even hitting the compressor. Oh, you know what? It's a volume. It's just a volume effect because it's playing the regular drums and it's the added volume from the parallel compression. So that's why you always have to match the volume, so you actually hear the effect and not just a volume difference. But we need to lower the threshold. Am I imagining something? So why am I not seeing it here? Oh no, that's right. I'm not doing it right. Because the compression's here. And this is just a blend. Okay. Sorry, I was a little confused there. That's right. You see the compression on the effects bus. It's blending in with this, which has no compression. That's what this is. Blend when you send in effects. I still want to hear some. Where's my EQ? Yeah, okay. I wanted the drums sound a little dull off the top end, but I wanted also a little slightly more boominess in it. Yeah, that has more definition. And we need some reverb on the drums. Let me get some compression on the bass. I'm using a different kind of compressor because I don't want it to be the same compression that I'm using for the drums on that using on the compression effects bus. So yeah, let's do one. Let's try this setting first. Helps smooth it out, you know, the bass. Let's take a look at the guitars.
kind of want to hit the guitars hard. Yeah, we'll go with the auto. Does that sound too loud to you, the guitar? Well, they need a reverb here. You know what I want on the individual guitar tracks? I want some delay and chorus. So actually, I want that on this one. Get rid of that. How about some delay on the second guitar? But now I have to raise the level because the delay made it softer. You know what? How about making the that second guitar really distorted? that too much? Bring back the feedback because I don't want it to go like in a loop. But this also needs some reverb. Yeah, see, now I think I need some EQ on that guitar bus. Or better yet, what? Put the EQ on the reverb. Well, maybe bring this back a little bit. Maybe bring back the saturation. Let's go back to this a little bit. Do I need it higher? Okay, let's hold on. Let me put a limiter. Let me put a limiter on this. And then I'm actually going to put a boost.
on the submix bus. Oh, it's up here. Boost.
There's a crowd of angry people, and they all want to blow us up my head. I really need to buy some groceries, but I don't want to when they're up there. I've been stuck in my apartment all day. I'm too scared to go outside.
Yeah, okay. I think that would be decent for a preliminary mix. What I normally do is I put it away and then listen to it again the next day. It helps to have that day or a couple days to listen to it again.
Get away. There's a crowd of angry people, and they all want to blow us up my.
Yeah, I would say that's it. So basically, I mean, you only need 4 effects: compression, reverb, delay, and EQ. Those are basically, you could do a lot with just those 4. And I would I always like to start on the mix bus and work backwards. There's a great YouTube channel called Musician on a Mission. They have a bunch of free videos there and a playlist called, I think it's called Mix School or something like that. It's a great resource to learn about mixing. And it's called Musician on a Mission on YouTube. Anyway, I hope, I know a lot of times I was silent because I was thinking things and I wasn't saying anything. But I hope you get an idea exactly how mixing goes. I mean, this is my process. Your process would be different. But hopefully you get some ideas to get started if you've never, if you're not very experienced in mixing down your Vocaloid tracks before. But anyway, hope you get something out of it. See you next time.